Yo, Kip, it's Guy here. Hey, we are at John Paul's Theater, guys, and I came here again because he's changed this place dramatically, or maybe I should say drastically, since I've last been over here. It's been a while, other than kind of calibrating. He's changed speakers. I'm going to start by saying this. If you have been following my channel, there's a lot of things in here, John Paul, that might have been mine at one point, right?
Maybe.
So, Kef R11s, he just recently picked those up for me. The R2C I gave to him actually well before the R11s. He got that for me too. So he has two DN10s. He'll talk about that. But I actually gave him one at one point. He now has two different ones. These Q50As used to be mine as well. He has another one over there. He has a Prime Elevations here. He's been testing out my Ultras there. If you go to the amp rack, everything in the amp rack, mine is maybe two things are mine, three things. And the amp rack itself used to be mine. So he's upgraded a lot. I'm going to give him the floor. If you haven't seen him before, I met him when he was 16. He was my youngest subscriber at the time. He's actually not anymore, but he's definitely down there. So John Paul, welcome back to the channel. For those who are new, you're going to see his face a lot as he grows up. John Paul, tell us, let's start off this side of the room. What do we have going on here? What's the purpose of this space? Introduce yourself. You have the floor. You know how this goes. Go ahead.
Okay, yeah. Oh, yeah, we've done this a few times. So, over here, this is not the theater side, even though this projector does bleed over here, but we'll get there. So, I want to start over here. So, this is my Sony. It is a X65. It is an X65 950H. And I actually got this from work. I work at Barney Miller's here in Kentucky. And this was actually, I guess you could call it a hand-me-down. It was a really cool situation. I got really blessed. So we installed the TV for one of our clients, and this was his old one. And we packed it up in the van, and I asked one of our install guys, I'm like, hey, I mean, it'd be a shame if y'all, put that to the curb, kind of take it home. And they're like, yeah, whatever. So got me a mount, and I threw it up, and now I have me a nice 65-inch Sony. The only thing I had to pay for was the mount itself.
That's awesome.
So I love it. Down the road, this is going to be, it's going to be one of two things, or it can be both. This is going to be Zone 2, if you're not familiar, because I know I have some friends watching this. They don't know what any of this means. They're just watching it because I sent them the video. Zone 2, if you think about it, the theater, which you'll see in a second, is Zone 1. So a zone being a dedicated sound or video area. And this will be Zone 2. So I can replicate sound and video from the theater, or I can get a switcher, press a button, and now it's its own separate piece. So someone can play the PS5 over here, someone can play the Xbox over here, or I can click a button, and now they're both mirroring each other. So that's the plan. I don't have anything on it yet. This is the Alexa right here. This is the thing it controls on my lights. That's really all I use it for. I don't care about the weather, what time it is. But she can control solid colors and brightness, and that's about it. But what you see right now on all these lights, this is a custom mode in the Govee app. These are all Govee lights. These are 4 50-foot strips, 49.2 to be exact, and they're all seamless. You can't tell where one starts and one begins. I've tried my best to kind of hide where they're plugged in. So if I were to say her name, all lights off, keyword all, they'll all turn off and all on. It's very convenient. And then right here, this is one of my, I don't even think Kyle knows how I've got this working.
I don't.
One of my digital movie posters. So I've got a software, I don't remember what it's called, but if I remember to tell Kyle later, I can have him put it on the screen.
Yeah.
I paid a total of $5. You actually don't have to pay anything, but you can pay $5, donate $5 to the guy, and he'll remove a watermark that sits right here. But this is a fully realistic digital movie poster. We've got the ratings, we've got the caption for the movie, everything coming soon, now playing, it'll switch. And it's actually supposed to transition between movies, but my computer is not fast enough. Speaking of computer, down here's the laptop. I've got it tucked back there in the screen, kind of down so it's hidden. But I've just got it on an HDMI cord behind this TV. I can pull it out a little bit, but I kind of don't want to.
Yeah, you can go there.
It's just a little switcher, $15 on Amazon. 1 HDMI female to 2 HDMI females. 1 going to the source, 2 going to the TVs. And that one over there, it just mirrors this one. I've got it's a 50-foot HDMI cord, goes up here, as well as power goes down there. And they've just synced to each other. They don't look perfectly similar because that's a Sanyo, and that's an Element. So I've gone in settings to try to make it look similar, but that's a 43, that's a 32. I wanted a bigger one farther back and then a smaller one up front. So you see this one, if a 43 was here, that'd be a little bit overwhelming, but I wanted a size to kind of compensate for this smaller one back there. And I think it really adds to the theater effect, especially when I've got it synced to the movie. So we've got a Quiet Place 3 up here. We've got a Quiet Place movie poster here. It really adds to the effect.
That's pretty cool.
So I'll go over here again. So you notice I have 3 couches here. I host Bible study and worship night here every Friday. And this is where we gather. And more into the theater part also has to do with it. The theater is also movies, music, and worship, that's music too. But I've built the theater to also be an incredible worship environment. So we worship and then we come here, try to make it look welcoming. I've got pillows and blankets in here, pillows here. So this will seat, 5 people, maybe 6 people comfortably, and we all just gather here. This is really what this area is meant for, not meant for a theater, even though I've got a couple stuff that, bleed into that. But this is really where we gather. I've got some fake plants, and I've got a candle if you want to, a light if you want to read. And I've got a candle my mother actually made about 6 years ago. Warm maple syrup. It smells incredible.
It's like your own little sanctuary over here, huh?
I know, it's pretty cool.
It is pretty cool.
And then speaking of theater, if you want to come back over here, I'm borrowing the Ultras, and these were actually up there, so I took those down, and I had to put them somewhere. So these are running Zone 2, so some people want to walk around and worship on the other side, but some people just feel more comfortable sitting here. That's fine. I've got Zone 2 here, so the music also plays out of here, just like it does over there. And black speaker, white grill, fits in with the white aesthetic. That's a little apparent over here, so just fits right in. And, so starting on the theater a little bit, this is my JVC projector. I ask people sometimes when they come here, because most people don't care, they just want to be immersed in a movie, but for the people that do care, I'll say, hey, we just watched a movie. I want you to guess how old this projector is. And they're like, well, odd question, but okay. To me, it looks maybe a little dimmer than a TV, but it looks fine. To me, it's not distracting at all. It looks great, especially with the big screen. But this is a JVC RS400, also known as the X550R. And this thing, it was the entry-level projector from JVC in 2015. It came out November of 2015. I paid, after a mount, a new lamp, and the projector itself, I only paid $900 after tax and shipping. And speaking of the mount, I've got this is a cool idea from a buddy of ours. He got a 2x4, painted it white, and just screwed in where the studs are. And then now we've got, our own quote-unquote stud. This is a Chief mount. It just comes up here, and then I've got a little hider up there. And I think this is 1.5 feet. I don't know. But it's just enough to where, me personally, I don't bump it. My hair does, but I don't bump it. And because it used to be a little lower. So I've kind of found the sweet spot to where we've got perfect throw and we've got perfect distance down. If I didn't have this, it's actually where our HVAC runs. If I didn't have this, it would look a lot better where it's just on the ceiling and just a straight ceiling, then mount, then boom, no arm. It would look better, but you got to work with what you got. It's not my house. So we've got HDMI power running through here. I haven't tried hiding it because that vent's there. If that vent wasn't there, I could just get a cable hider. But there are restrictions that I have to work with. But I do have zip ties on the actual mount. So those go behind these acoustic sheets right here, which is actually what they are. And they used to be in the middle of the room. Put them back here to kind of black out the back. I think it looks better. They just run down here. I've got a cable hider down here. It runs, and then it goes to the rack, which you'll see. But it's all hidden as much as I can. And it's all seamless because they actually used to just run through the back down here. And me seeing how this room used to look, even though I know I'll still get comments like, you're seriously running it this way, it should be this way. And I'm over keeping up with the Joneses, to be honest.
Absolutely.
I'm going to do it my way, and it's just how it is.
I will say this before you continue, guys.
Yeah.
Like I said, he's been on the channel for years. His room looked nothing like this before. So a lot of you guys who are just seeing him may have a lot of comments, oh, move this here, this there, why do you have this there, whatever. But if you see where he's came from, you would have no complaints about how he has it set up now. Mm-hmm. So it's easy to judge people on the internet. It's also easy to follow what you see on the internet. But at the end of the day, this is what we call a hobby. And a hobby is meant to be fun.
Yep.
And if it's not fun, it's not worth it. So
Yep.
I'm glad that you're finally just having fun with it and then growing along the way. That's what makes the hobby as fun as it is.
And I've only, well, this certain setup with the big screen, like this orientation, because it used to be this way, then it used to be this way and this way.
It's been like almost every wall.
Yes, the screen's been on every wall. I've got, you can see 4 still in-wall anchors from when that projector was there, and I had Kyle's old screen, I had an 100-inch projector.
I forgot, I gave you a screen. I remember that.
And I've landed where I am now, and this orientation, I say all that to say this orientation's only been this way since January of 2023. So, I mean, this orientation for 2 years, but I only entered this hobby January of 2022. So to have what I have, it's an incredible blessing. Absolutely. Because it's very easy to see all these guys, now Kyle, who have stuff like Arundel, and I work at a place where I'm constantly surrounded by no joke, $60,000 Bowers and Wilkins, what is it, the 804 S3s. Yep. I'm surrounded by that stuff, and it's like, I got to be grateful. And grateful isn't even the right word. I'm spoiled to have what I have at 19, being in this hobby for 3 years, and we see people that have all this stuff, and us personally, we don't even have it. So,
yep.
I'm very grateful. I'm very happy. There's always better out there, but be satisfied with where you are. There's other things like a house for me to save up for.
Exactly.
What were you going to say?
I was going to say, over your shoulder there, I see an amp rack.
Oh, man.
Should we talk about that?
We should talk about that.
Let's move to the amp rack.
Let's come over here, you guys. I'll see if I can.
I'll put my flashlight on, too,
okay,
so we can get a little bit of light going.
Cool.
Go right ahead.
So this, I'm very grateful for this. So I'll start off on top, and then once I get to my receiver, I've got a lot to say.
Okay.
I have no room left in the rack because I have been sold some beefy equipment, and I didn't even know if I could fit all this in here, but the PS5 bleeds out. It's not huge, so it's not a big deal. Even if it was, it'd be okay. But I just bought this about a month ago. This is my PS5. I have transitioned from Microsoft to Sony. Womp
what
womp.
A shame, bro.
What a shame.
Holy.
I only play like 2 or 3 games, but it is what it is. But I like it. It runs a lot better than my Series S now.
Yeah.
I know if I had a Series X, I would have less and less to compare.
Right.
But this runs everything that my Xbox could not. So, and we go down.
So before he says anything, guys, this is OSD. These amplifiers were in my rack.
Oh, no way.
At my house. He robbed me at one night, and now he has not only my amp here, we'll get down to the bottom one too.
Shit.
That was also something of mine, and then the amp rack itself. So this is like a blast from the past for me.
That's crazy.
I'm gonna let him go through all the models if you remember them and kind of talk about what you got going on as far as audio equipment goes.
So I'm very grateful for this. So this is it's cool because when I first started following Kyle, I watched this video. This is one of the first videos I watched when he reviewed this. And
that's surreal.
it is pretty cool. And now I own this stuff, and I never thunk it.
It's really cool.
So these 4, probably self-explanatory. They power my my Atmos. I wish it was kind of a 5-channel.
Yeah.
Because I wish I could power. I wish this was a 5. It is. I wish this was the same or a 7 because I'd like to get surround backs one day. And I wish this were 5 because this is 200 watts per channel by 4.
Yeah, it's up there.
So my Atmos is getting more power than the Kefs, and they don't need them. But it's still incredibly powerful and very heavy. I hope to never move this again one day. And this right here, this is really cool because I remember in 2020 or 2021 when this came out. It's the Denon X6700H. I remember when this came out, I went to Best Buy, and they have all those receivers on showcase there and everything. And this was the very top, like physically on the top of the shelf. And they showcased this more than anything else. Really, the Marantz was really meant for something else, but mostly they showcased this. And I bought this after tax. It was about $1,700 on eBay about a month ago. Got rid of my Yamaha RX 3070. This is just miles better. And it's just so cool. It's not just a normal receiver. It's something that 4 years ago I really just aspired to have one day, and just to have this kind of brings back your childhood. So this was another work blessing. This one just came from the same house as that Sony TV, and the guy never used it, so I just took it instead of them throwing it away at work, which is unfortunately what
Is it the Sony X700? Or
I had the X700.
This is 800?
And then I blessed someone with that, and this is the X800 M2.
M2, yeah. Nice.
Yeah. So I know what Panasonic would be better, but honestly, I mean, I could drop this down, but I don't know if it'll fit. But, I mean, it's still great, but like I said, I know Panasonic will be better, but nothing beats free, and I got this for
100%.
free.
No
So,
complaints.
and this is the OSD, looks like it says the
I think it's the
XA
52...
5180.
51. I was
That's what it
50.
says.
Yeah,
I was
so that's
just
your
reading
5-channel amp.
So, I mean, it serves me well. I don't know. I mean, I know a monolith would probably do better, but I mean,
So that one, the 5-channel, does all the speakers on the bed layer.
Yes.
So center, front, left, front, right, and then your side surrounds.
correct,
And then the top one does his 4 Atmos.
correct.
Nice.
So one day when I switch the surround backs, I guess temporarily I'll have to bleed into this built-in amp.
Yeah, you just use, which is fine. Most people will get like a 3-channel amp for their fronts and then use the other amplifiers on the inside for everything else because they don't need so much power. That'd be perfect.
Yeah. But it still sounds fine to me. The only thing I really am prioritizing and investing is acoustic treatment. Other than that, I think we're good. I mean,
sure.
R11s, coming from DefTech BP9040s, I think anything's going to satisfy me. And I'm all about that bass anyway, so
really is.
I'm not super picky.
I will say this too, guys. When I walked in here, he had some music playing. It is a night and day difference between the KF R11s and his BP 9040s. Like, it's crazy. Like, literally when I walked in here, like, yeah, this is it. So I'm gonna have him show us the finale, the theater itself, and walk through everything that's in here for us, all that good stuff. I do, while he's turning everything off and getting his stuff set up, what we have going on here, this is a 5.2.4 Dolby Atmos system. So 5 bed layer speakers. We'll have him go through that. 4 Atmos speakers and 2 subs. He's not necessarily in the market right now. He's enjoying himself with what he has, but he does want to upgrade subs in the future and maybe go 7 speakers on this bed layer and so on and so forth. But right now he's enjoying what he has because, like I said, this drastically changed very quickly. So he hasn't had a lot of stuff very long. Has a 1 row of 4 here. A mixture of Valencia and Willionka. I think I said that. Willionda is what it is. Willionda seats. They sent me these seats, and I let him have them after a while because I can't have 4 seats in my room, but he can. It's so.
Thought about 5 and you just jump over.
Yeah, he could even have a row behind it and raise the like he has so much endless possibility in here. I shouldn't give him any ideas because he'll freaking run with it. So,
could do something.
but it's a really nice system. Acoustic treatment. I'm gonna have him walk us through. Again, I do want to point out everything that used to be mine because I love this stuff, man. So all KEF speakers in here were once in my home theater. I'll let him tell model numbers. The DefTechs here, I gave him one of them. He likes them enough that he got himself 2 to go in the front. Got black ones to match his aesthetic. The Ultra Elevations that are up there right now, I told him to take them and test them for me. If you missed the video, we just compared them to the primes. So he has prime elevations and ultra elevations listening to him, but otherwise he has 4 primes that he's using. We'll definitely watch that video because it's pretty interesting what he has to say. So, John Paul, wherever you want to start with in the room,
Yeah, I'll just start right here.
that'll work.
So, I mean, this is just something extra. This is nothing really worth talking about. If anything, it rattles. I want to take it down. But
Yeah.
It's only up here because it covers 2 holes. And I'm not taking it down to make it look more ugly. Anywho, this is quite cool. And the way I'm wiring this is really cool, too. It's all, I mean, you see these wires, but I've tried my best to hide everything as people normally would. But these are, of course, the Q50As. I like them. I mean, I know the... what are the on-walls you have? What are the on-walls you have?
Oh, the Q4s.
Q4s.
Yeah.
I know this would probably sound better, but I mean, honestly, I don't have complaints. And of course, I know people are going to say, "Well, you don't know what you don't know." And like I said, there's got to be a point where you're satisfied and you can just rest. And you know, Kyle is 10 years older than me, and he has Q4s, and I'm 19, and I just got his Q50s. And I'm not saying that like, look at me, but it's like, I mean, I know there's...
You're far ahead than most people your age.
And, you know, I can't be a people pleaser and just get nicer stuff because people want me to.
Exactly.
But these sound pretty good. I mean, of course, same woofer, same tweeter, not same woofer, but same timbre really is the only thing I per se care about. And, I mean, they look cool. And then I'll go over here. I desire more acoustic treatment. In my next paycheck, after this one that's about to happen, I'm about to go to town on acoustic treatment. Everybody says I wish I did it first, and I wish I did it first.
So tell us this. I know this answer already, but tell us about your acoustic treatment, where you got it,
Yeah.
all that
So
good
it
stuff.
wasn't from a company. It was actually 2 years ago. I was on Facebook Marketplace, and this guy from Georgia, he was building acoustic panels. Keep in mind, this is August of 2022, so they're more expensive now, even if you want them custom. He built this super tight. I mean, this is probably as good as a GIK panel. I don't know, but I got both of these for $80, and I mean they look great, and I mean it's solid, and I mean the fabric itself is tight. So I mean I feel like this is really reference level.
What kind of
acoustics.
difference did it make for you putting them up?
Well, I put them up as soon as I transitioned to this side, but I can tell you right now I've taken them down, and it sounds like a new house in here. Like it's so echoey, but I mean it still kind of does because I mean you can hear it. But anywho, next I mean probably April 10th, I think that's my next paycheck after that. I'm gonna get, this is a 4-inch panel, so I'm gonna get a 4-inch panel, 4-inch panel, 4-inch panel, 4-inch panel. These are actually, I did it wrong. These are getting the second reflection point. The first reflection point's like right here, and like right here, so right at this door frame. So I'll do this, equal distance to this one, equal distance to this one, and then probably sometime in May, I'll probably get some 2-inch panels, some floating squares, kind of like Michael Stevens, Youthman has. It'll look pretty cool. But I thought there was a whole science to it, and I know there is, but you know, Kyle's over here like, man, I would just get nothing but absorption. I'm like, okay, that makes it a little less complicated on the GIK custom website.
Exactly.
So I'll transition to, I'll talk about the seats first, because this is the good stuff, and I love these seats. So flanking the middle two are the Wellienda, if that's how you say it. I don't know the model. He does.
Luxury series.
Luxury series, okay. Compared to the Valencia, they're not insanely luxurious, but again, I'm just spoiled. So, I mean, you can just tell by looking at them. Valencia's, well, yes, these two right here, the Valencia Tuscany, not the Premier, just the quote-unquote regular Tuscany. But these have full recline, full lumbar, and full headrest. First thing I noticed when I set these up, if you can see the difference, when I do the headrest on the Valencias, it's just simply like that. But when I do the headrest on these, nope, it goes like up and out. I don't care for that. It's not comfortable. It's only comfortable if you have perfect posture. You put your butt and back all the way back here.
Sit tall.
Yep.
Yeah,
I don't care for it. I want to be lazy when I'm watching a movie. I don't want to be dignified.
You can tell that Willionda had some inspiration.
Yep.
And just made it a slight bit cheaper to kind of undercut their price to maybe make them. And honestly, the seat's really nice. But if you sat in a Valencia, it's hard to revert to.
It's really hard because, you know, I mean, they're right next to each other, so I have the choice. I mean, when I have guests here, I either sit right there or there. I mean, you put others before yourself, so I have the guests sit in the nice seats in here. But, you know, if you don't know, if you've never sat in a Valencia, these would feel fine.
Right.
But acoustic treatment, seats, of course, Atmos you've seen, Primes are back there, and then Ultras are here right now. And then I made the choice initially back in June to black out this entire ceiling and back wall. And as of an hour ago, 30 minutes ago, Kyle has convinced me to also do these walls. So
Yes, told him you don't necessarily have to go black, but he's going to go velvet. So it's
this
going
is
to be
velvet.
black, kind of like what's behind the screen. Said it'll help his contrast. He likes the lights and everything up here. The wall makes the lights brighter than they actually are with all the reflections, and then of course the screen reflecting back onto the wall reflects back into the screen. So we'll get some better picture quality too for you. So,
Yeah.
All right, is it time for the speakers?
I think so.
All right.
I think it's...
So if you made it this far, we're talking about these Kef R11s and co. These, I literally got rid of these last month, right? February. And it was hard. Check that video out too, because it's kind of funny. But they're now in his room. I want you to tell us about them, and then I'm going to ask you a question to share with them. But let's just start off with what you got going on up front.
Yeah, so of course the R11s, these are major night and day. It took me a while to get used to it, and of course, I mean, some of it is still the acoustics. The acoustics are not nailed in here, but once they are, it'll be perfect. But I can tell that once I get it nailed in, it'll be great. But number one, I mean, I do love the way they look. They look quite good, but I do keep the grill on them because the way I like it, it's just darker, so the grill is just enough for it to be dark enough, but they definitely sound fuller. And a couple of times I just played music with it, with the subs off, and it sounds very natural. My favorite thing to play through here is definitely piano or acoustic guitar.
Absolutely.
Just like the individual strum is just so like full, and like each, I don't play guitar. Strum is the only word I can think of it. It's so detailed and precise.
It's almost borderline realistic. Mm-hmm. Crazy.
I've learned that these love to play natural instruments. Instruments is what these really shine at.
Yeah.
And I know they're musical speakers.
Right.
And then again, I was telling you earlier, I had these for probably 3 or 4 months before I even got these, and this used to stick out quite a bit. Like the timbre is different, it just sounded fuller. But now it's all enveloping more. So
yeah, he used to have we told you earlier in the clip, if you missed it, he had the DefTech BP 9040s. And then I let him buy my center channel early because I wanted to get rid of it in my home theater to put something else in place. So he bought that and matched it with the 9040s. And so what he's saying is the timbre was so off. Now that he has the matching speakers, the cohesion is definitely there. This is the R2C, if you guys don't know. So, all right. What about the big
the
black
subs.
boxes? Yeah.
Yeah, so late this year, I plan on, I don't know something either JL or SVS, but I'm thinking to spend probably in between 4,000 to 6,000, something like that, on them. I'm leaning more towards the F113s, but I just don't care for how they look. They're not a perfect square. They're like a little bit of a rectangle.
JL's known for that, like little curvatures and stuff. Yeah.
They look kind of funky, and if you take the grill off, you see the whole front panel, all the knobs. I just don't want to see that.
Is it silver?
Yes.
Yeah, I don't know why I do that.
It just looks ugly to me.
Yeah.
And the F113 we have at work, I don't think it's busted, but the acoustics in that room suck. So it sounds horrible. So that's what I'm used to. I haven't heard the proper F113. But I'm thinking, I'm happy with these. I want it to dig lower and cleaner, and I want to feel it quite a bit. So I'm thinking either maybe the SB16 or 17 from SVS, or recommendations from you all. I don't know, but something that definitely digs as deep as yours.
Before you, I know they're going to ask me. I can already see 10 comments right now. What size is your room?
This is 24 feet deep, 13 feet wide, and 8-foot ceilings beside this thing in the middle.
24, 13 you said?
Yep.
And 8-foot ceilings.
Yep.
So if you guys want to give him subwoofer recommendations, how far away are you sitting from your screen?
It's about 9 feet.
9 feet. So just about halfway into the room, a little bit forward, maybe 1/3 into the room.
Bass is pretty good though. If you were to stand above the chair, like stand right here.
It goes away.
It sounds good. It
Does it
sounds.
really?
If you're standing right here, leaning against this, it sounds good, and it sounds not as good sitting here. But I've pushed the seat a foot before and a foot behind, and this is the sweet spot for bass.
Yeah.
And with 2 subs, I've never had this before, and I know it's normal, but it's really cool. Every single seat has the exact same bass. When we do a mini DSP here in the next month, it'll be better.
Oh, it'd be crazy good. Yeah, your room's pretty, for the most part, symmetrical. So it's pretty easy
rectangle.
to keep. Yeah, that's what you want. So it's easier to get consistent bass. So these are what, 2 DN10s?
Yep. And
So-
they're supposed to sound like 12s because it's an active 10 and 2 passive 10s.
Right.
500 watts each. I think it's 750, 500 RMS, and then 750 peak, which is not a ton. But I got these used, and they don't look tore up at all. They look pretty good.
Yeah.
I paid $250 each for them. And what do they go for? 700, 800
They're
new?
expensive,
Yeah.
like, honestly.
So this is only $500 worth of bass, and when you hear it later, it sounds way better than $500 worth of bass.
100%.
So
I got a
that's all I
DN10.
paid.
Yeah, I've had a DN10. I know about it. All right, so 2x34.
2.35 to 1 screen. I had to go Cinescope because when you
Cinescope,
walk
man.
in this room, you see the velvet, you see the screen, you immediately know it's a theater.
You mean business.
I was thinking about just a really big 16:9, but even though I don't watch movies probably 25% of the time, I've gotten used to the bars on the side for games and stuff, and it doesn't bother me. I don't care.
If you go 60x9, the bar should switch to the top.
Yeah, for movies.
Yeah.
But, I say that because for the screen I chose, I don't watch movies.
Yeah.
I play PS5 probably more than I probably watch 2 movies a week maybe.
Yeah.
But I've got quite a collection of movies. But when I watch movies, I want it to be a quite good experience because in our showroom at work, we don't have any of these kind of screens.
You don't. Yeah, all 16:9. And honestly, I love the look of a 2x3 5-to-1. Like, this is, I think all like flagship home theaters, like really, really big ones, go for this. It's just something about the aesthetic. And the movies are formatted in this
Yeah,
anyway.
you
So,
got
I mean,
a
it
movie
makes
theater.
complete sense. I can't put one of these in my room for two reasons. One, because my room's too small. My walls aren't wide enough. But
throw.
two, yeah.
You throw.
I use an ultra short throw projector. They don't do anything other than 16:9, and everything that I watch in that room is actually a movie. I only go in that room for movies, so I have black bars at the top. I would love something like this, but I like gray screens, and I don't know if they do. It's very expensive, but I don't know how many
do.
people make big 2x3 5-to-1 gray screens.
Yeah, so I'll tell you this real quick. So this is a silver ticket.
Yeah.
And if you go on their website, every single size they sell, this is from Amazon, but if you go on their website,
Right.
this is 138 inches. Yeah, of course. So you go to their website, you just type in 138 inch, and then you go down to fabric. You can get gray, you can get acoustically transparent,
cool.
you can get, it's called contrast boost, you can get silver,
Yeah.
and you can get like dark gray. But
I'd be willing to go Cinescope gray if I knew that I could get it in like 100 to 110 inches.
yeah, that's pretty. I don't think they.
I
sell
don't
them.
think they do that. You have to go pretty massive. I have
115 is the bare
Yeah,
minimum.
and I don't think that would fit on my wall because I have a 120 inch 16:9, and it's literally my entire wall. So I would have to move the theater out of that room to another.
Well, I'll tell you everything. So when I spent about a month or two calculating how big of the screen would work, how far back to do the projector. If you go to projectorcentral.com, you put in what projector you use, and you put in how far away the projector is going to be, and it tells you efficiently and perfectly how big of a screen you should
really
go.
cool.
Because this is 138, and if I were to go to like 150, my zoom would be on like almost max, and
yeah.
it wouldn't
Image,
look as good.
yeah.
This zoom is on like 65, 60%, so it's not really straining that much. Being a 10-year-old projector, it looks great, and you'll
Yeah.
see it.
Oh yeah, we'll turn it on and give you guys a quick demo.
Yeah.
So last but not least,
The Velvet.
the Velvet behind the screen. It was. I'll put some. If I haven't already, I'll put some older photos of his room. He didn't always have a black background by the screen. What kind of change did that make for you? Whether it's aesthetically or maybe even in like contrast. What does blacking out behind the screen and above the screen do for you?
Yeah, so I actually watched the Youthman video about where he went to a guy's house and he was raving over when he blacked it out, it was night and day, and his wife thought they got a new projector where they didn't, blah, blah, blah. So that's what made me do it, but I mean, you've been over here too, and you helped me calibrate, and it was just the screen. But even, I didn't add the Velvet. I had this on here for like probably 8 months, and I didn't add this on here till like 6 months ago.
Yeah.
And the back wall, I had for a while, the Velvet on the back wall. Just the Velvet on the back wall, if anything, it didn't improve the picture at all because, of course, it's not going to bounce from behind the screen, the picture. But it made the screen look like it was floating now. Like previously, you
It blended in with like the
Yeah.
borders.
It's the exact same Velvet that's on the border of the projector screen.
Yeah.
So it went from obviously telling there's a screen there to now it's a seamless piece of fabric that floats.
Absolutely. I know
Floating
exactly what you're
effect
talking
is really
about. I know
what
exactly
it
what you're
is.
talking about. You reminded me in my apartment when I put black peel and stick paper behind the screen, and
made a
it
big
made
difference.
the borders disappear, and it was just people thought it was a TV because there was no.
Yeah.
It's really cool. So I get what you're saying.
Yeah.
So we're gonna give you guys a demo real quick, but I do want to ask or have him share just a little piece of advice or whatever. If you haven't heard throughout the video, he's 19 years old. He'll be 20 at the end of the year. He started off when he was 16. I met him when he was 16. He was coming from nothing. He had Klipsch bookshelf speakers, and that's about it.
Yeah,
that was it.
I had a $50 Dell projector that meant to go in a classroom
Yeah,
from 2009.
he was just whatever he could put his hands on, he did. So what I want to ask you to share with my audience, it's been 3 years through the journey. You've come from here to here pretty quickly. A lot of people who are watching this video don't have dedicated home theaters or don't have a space this big. Even me personally, I don't have half the space like this, so I envy that. So for people who are new or people who just don't have the time or the space and they're getting into the hobby, what's some advice that you give for those who are getting into this, who see things like this and want it? What do you say to people who are at that stage?
Definitely not to have discouragement because I mean, even when I wasn't in this orientation, the screen was here, and I couldn't do side surrounds. I mean, at the time, I definitely couldn't do Atmos. It's a blessing that the parents let me put speakers on the ceiling. That was a miracle. But, you know, I would watch these people that had all this stuff, and it's like, you can either choose to be jealous or you can choose to be grateful. That's how I look at it. And if you choose to be grateful, you'll stop comparing yourself to other people, and you'll just be like, you know what I have is incredible. And I've met people who even live, you know, not even far from us, and, you know, they've been saving up for years to just get a car. I mean, we're not talking about cars, but the stuff we take advantage of every day, these people don't even have, let alone like extra stuff like this that we don't need. It's just a hobby. So, I mean, wherever you start, I mean, I don't even look at this as a need, of course, but wherever you start, I mean, it can only go from there. Save up incrementally. I haven't been in this hobby for long enough that people have for like 15, 20 years to give like incredible advice. But if there's something you want, I mean, it'll happen eventually. Be good with money. That's a big thing. I mean, I haven't even paid these off yet. I didn't pay cash for these.
All right.
I still owe the guy like $1,000.
So.
But, I mean, patience is key for sure. I mean, when I started, I mean, when you first bought these, I came to your apartment and I still had the little clip speakers. I'm like, dude, I mean, the first thing I commented when I went into your apartment, I'm like, you were playing like ambient sound effects, and I thought it sounded incredible. And then it's really easy to just go back to your house and be like pouting and stuff.
Yep.
But being grateful and being patient, I think those are really important things.
Yeah, being patient and grateful. And now what he was, you know, inspired at my apartment are now sitting in his home theater right now.
Never would have thunk it.
So, and I'm going to piggyback on the opposite real quick, guys. He said, if you're starting from scratch, don't chase. You'll get where you're going when it's time. Vice versa. I have a lot of people who tell me all the time, you should have got this. You need to put this many seats in.
Yeah.
You need these speakers. A lot of people have different priorities when it comes to money. You may think that his system is terrible because you have, you know, the best Bowers and Wilkins up here with the best projector. It doesn't matter. It does not matter. If he sits down and he enjoys this, then he's winning. Mm-hmm. And I want you guys to feel the same way. So how we're going to end this is I'm going to turn on the stereo mic. Whatever demo you want to give, I'm going to let you give it. Crank it. If your parents don't yell at you, don't get none of us in trouble. But turn it up a little bit. We'll put the stereo mic on. We'll give them a quick little demo. I'm probably going to end this video here. We'll probably end it with the demo, guys. So I have to say thank you to John Paul for allowing me to come back and listen to my old system in a proper space.
Yeah. And
also get to see him go from what he had to what he has now, and just look at his face. He's every time I come here, he seems to be happier and happier with what he has. So I like to watch it. It's fun. So thank you guys so much for watching. Stay tuned for the demo. We're going to do it right now. Let's fire it up and let's listen to it.
Sweet.